We've got ones that can see. Welcome, everybody, to today's show. This story has been bothering me for days, and I actually have a long list of stories that I mean to cover in videos. And at the bottom of the list are some of these stories revolving around sports events. Now, I know the majority of you don't care about these types of stories, but it's very important to pay attention to them because, of course, as most of you know, the news is manufactured. The objective of manufacturing the news is to manufacture your behavior. Most of the stories we see on the news are actually scripted out. A lot of the false flag events or the psyops that we see pushed in the mainstream are obviously created, and they blast those things out into the universe so that they can have people sucked into their psyops. And then they tell you that this is what we all need to do. This is how we all need to act. This is how we all should behave. And this story is a perfect example of this. Now, this would sound like something that is no big deal to any normal human being. If you've ever been to a concert, if you've ever been to a sporting event, if you've ever been to a wrestling event, people heckle all the time. Comedy shows, it's a normal part of life. But as we know, with everything that they've done over the last couple of years, they've obviously changed what comedy looks like, making people afraid to crack certain jokes because that's what behavioral control is. And now we're starting to see more and more of these stories about fans who are yelling inappropriate comments at athletes. And if you watch the way that the people respond to the story, you could see how this manufacturing of behavior is actually working. That people are on board with a heckler yelling something and losing his season tickets for life. In fact, the guy yelled something to the baseball player and lost the ability to ever enter a Major League Baseball stadium again. And when you hear what he yelled, you're probably just going to, well, roll your eyes like I did. And then I'll show you what the sheeple did and how the sheeple responded to it. But this is all about behavioral control. So for anybody out there, we all grew up with the expression, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, that's not something you hear anymore. Because, of course, when they build a weak society and they want, obviously, people to be on board with communism, they want Big Brother to be the one that takes care of you. They don't want you to stand up for yourself. They want you to fold like a deck of cards. They want you to fall like a domino falls, one after the other. And they want words to hurt you. Why do they want words to hurt you? Because they want you to demand that the government come in and censor free speech, make people afraid to say certain things, behavioral control, and eventually a social credit score based off of behavior. This is what they want. And they're getting people out there to want it as well because they're falling in line because of stories like this. So sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But in the year 2025, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will make people apparently go in a corner and cry like a baby for hours. This baseball player got yelled at from a fan. And think of yourself at a concert. I'm sure you've been at a concert at some point in your life. I've been to sporting events, and you've maybe been at a concert and you've seen somebody, an opening act perhaps, that you didn't go to see. And you probably yelled something at them, you suck, or something along those lines, right? Everybody around you laughs, no big deal. Well, obviously we live in a very sensitive world now. Well, this guy yelled something about the baseball player's mom. And it just so happens that the baseball player's mom passed away 10 years ago. But what happened on the baseball field next? Well, the player began weeping like a child and crying and got down on his knees and cried in front of his teammates. And everybody thought, was he crying because he got hurt? Did he tear his Achilles tendon? No, he cried because a fan said something about his mom. And now, of course, the outcry is to make sure that that fan is never allowed to attend a baseball game again. The outcry isn't that, hey, is this guy okay? Is something wrong with him? That hearing a fan yell something to him actually made him weep like a baby? And I'll tell you what he said afterwards because it was just released. But here's the story out of Chicago. This is obviously manufactured news. This is behavioral control. And you'll see the sheeple who are at the baseball game who all agree the fan should never be allowed back because he yelled something mean and hurt somebody's feelings.
A Chicago White Sox fan is now banned indefinitely from all MLB stadiums after he was heard heckling an Arizona Diamondbacks player at yesterday's game, ultimately bringing that player to tears. Our Sarah Mackey's checking in with fans as both teams face off again today at Wright Field. And Sarah, I'm curious what the reaction is out at the ballpark.
Right, Marie, when we talked to fans as they were walking in, they had one unified response about the ban. Good. That heckler reportedly bringing up a deceased mother to a player out here, bringing him, like you said, to tears, something that both sides are now condemning. And it's also bringing up a bigger conversation, one about sportsmanship on the field and in the stands. A show of support at the ballpark for Arizona Diamondbacks player Ketel Marte as he took the field in Game 3, a big turnaround from just one day before.
Welcome back to Chicago. This is from the previous pitching change. Torey Lovullo with Ketel Marte in tears on the pitcher's mound, waiting for the reliever to come in, consoling Ketel Marte, who was in tears during that break.
Marte in tears after a heckler reportedly referenced his mother, who died in a 2017 car crash. An insult that hit Marte as he headed to the dugout and caused Diamondbacks leadership to react.
It was a terrible moment. Fans are nasty and fans go too far sometimes. And I love my players and I'm going to protect them.
Speaking the next morning, White Sox staff confirmed the fan had been banned, and they've reached out to Marte to apologize, a move supported by fans from both sides.
I support fans being enthusiastic, but being respectful at the same time.
I don't think you should get personal with the players. I mean, it's about baseball.
I think it was the right choice, I don't think that should be tolerated at any baseball field, It's just, it's inhumane.
This is Arizona's last game of the series here in Chicago. The White Sox did win, fans still leaving right now. From Ratefield, Sarah Maki, CBS News, Chicago.
So this is us moving closer to communism, right? The way these people respond, not one of them says, hey, you know what? I mean, I don't agree with what the guy said because, look, I don't really care. I mean, I don't agree or disagree. I couldn't care less. But if I hear somebody else, I mean, even at me, I get called names. People write stuff in the comments section. I don't even blink. It does not affect me. If somebody says something about your mom and they don't know your mom, why would you ever take it personally? Well, in today's world, everybody takes everything personally. And that's why we're at a point now where if you have a difference of opinion than somebody else, well, they want you canceled. They don't want you to have the right to speak anymore. They don't even want you to have the right to earn a living anymore. That's what they've done psychologically to the masses. And all the people out there at the baseball game all seem to think that it's really great that baseball has banned the fan. Not one person saying, is he all right? Is anyone want to check the baseball player to make sure that he's psychologically okay? That a comment about his mom made him cry? Now, I get it. You lose your mom. It's probably, we've all gone through tragedies with family members. Horrible thing. But if a complete stranger yells something at you that you never met before in your life about your mom, why in the world would you care? The guy clearly doesn't know his mom. The guy clearly never met his mom. The guy clearly never met him. Because, of course, this is how the news is manufactured. And this story was a headline story nationally. That's why I'm covering it. It was on every mainstream media outlet. You could type in the baseball player's name, which is Ketel Marte, and you could go through 30 pages in a Google search, and this story comes up every single time. All the headlines. Fans yelling, demanding justice for the baseball player. He gets a standing ovation when he comes back. And then they tell you what the guy actually said. So what do you think the guy actually said since his mom was deceased? I mean, did he say something like he, dug up his mom from the gravesite and did some unimaginable act with the mom? I mean, even that, people are screaming stuff. These are just words that aren't supposed to hurt you. No, this is what he said. This is the player said. He said, I want to thank all the fans who have been concerned about me. What happened was seventh inning. Remember, most of these people can't even speak English. So you know that all it takes is, somebody from above to come down and tell them, hey, break down in the middle of the game. You get a little bonus. You get a this or that. But most people are like, no, they would never do that. Nobody would be in on that, right? Sure. So anyway, the guy says, well, I want to thank all the fans. I came to bat. I'm ready at the plate. I hear a fan shouting. He was on top of the dugout. He yelled at me saying stuff about my mom. He was like, quote, I sent your mom a text last night. Well, when everything happened with my mom, I was here in Chicago. I was in this city. My manager had my back. They kicked the fan out. I don't think he'll be allowed back in the ballparks. Okay, so he said he texted your mom last night. Now, do you think he had a clue that your mom died? No. Are you a very prominent person in sports? Absolutely not. Majority of people probably don't know who you are. So I doubt the guy knows your bio and said, I texted your mom last night. Even if he did, I texted your mom last night. This is what we've gotten to. Hey, I texted your mom last night. Your mom happens to be dead. We better ban this guy from all the stadiums. Yeah, know what's next? We better freeze this guy's bank account. We better make sure this guy could never have a job again. We better make sure that this guy isn't allowed to live in a home. Let me just make sure that this guy, you know what? Let's put him in jail. That's eventually what they're obviously trying to do. And if you look at the comment section, it gets even scary. This is just a quick, going through the comments briefly underneath that video that you saw. And you can go look for yourself. You'll be horrified. Look, I'm not even a baseball fan, but when I heard what happened, my heart broke. It's been over 40 years since I lost my mother. If anyone made an insult about her, I'd still be upset. I'm so sorry for what happened. With love, your non-baseball fan. Well, thanks. This is obviously a narcissist who's writing this message, thinking that the player is actually going to read it. This is how deep the hypnosis goes, right? She's writing this, she goes, I'm not even a baseball fan. Nobody cares. Thanks for commenting. And I want to say, I'm so sorry for what happened. As if the player is here listening. And he says, with love, your non-baseball fan. I mean, and it gets 255 thumbs up. Let's continue. I'm sorry you had to suffer through that. Prayers for your healing, Marte. Suffer, ladies and gentlemen. Suffer. Someone yelled a your mama joke at a baseball player who makes millions of dollars. Oh, well, money doesn't matter. Okay, well, how are we training human beings to be so weak that somebody can't at a baseball game heckle anymore? Oh, okay. So now we're working in behavioral control big time. And look at these people. Look at these people. He had to suffer. Prayers for healing. Did he just have surgery? Did he break his leg? Did he tear his ACL? Which even still, I mean, no, prayers for him because somebody yelled, oh, your mama joke. Here's somebody else. Arizona resident here. I applaud the White Sox for banning that disgusting person. Thank you for doing the right thing. What a loser, someone says. No, I think you should look in the mirror. Heckling is one thing, but who goes after someone's deceased mother? So what is the term then for heckling? What can you say? I don't like you. Isn't that hate speech? Oh, I don't like me. So what are you going to say? What are you going to say? I don't like your team's uniforms. Is that maybe allowed, or is that also hateful? Because, we have people who are, blue lives matter, red lives. You can't criticize the color. It might offend some people. What can you say? You could just go, yay, boo. But isn't that offensive too? What if they're booing you? Doesn't that hurt your feelings too? Right? Why don't we just put a zipper over our mouths or, duct tape, and we'll just leave it at that, because that's clearly what they obviously want. And these suckers continue to allow themselves to be babied by the government. And this is what you get as a result, right? Trash talk and heckling is one thing. But to bring someone's dead mother into it is a scumbag move. I mean, it's a your mama joke. Aren't there shows on like MTV where they just go up and say, your mama's so fat? Remember those ridiculous shows that somehow people found humorous? I mean, I guess in today's world, they're probably pretty humorous. It's a your mama joke. You think the guy actually knew? He really did know. Who cares? Who cares? Anyway, let's continue. This happens to NBA players all the time. Good job, MLB, for stepping up and doing the right thing. This has to stop. Heckling a player about his game is one thing. Talking about his family is not cool and should never be taught. Right. Until they convince you that heckling him about his game, because that'll be the story next. 2026, a player yells, you're fat, to the player. Who's he going to break down and cry? You're not good at baseball anymore. He breaks down and cries. These people will eat it right up. That's all it takes. The player crying is what made all of these absolute sleeping zombies emotionally addicted to the story and attached to the story. If he didn't cry, people would go, I don't care. If it wasn't on NBC, CBS, ABC, ESPN, every media outlet, they wouldn't care. This is what people need to understand. They make it a mainstream story because there's an agenda attached to it. This is behavioral control. Let's continue. Marte is not only an amazing baseball player, but an overall amazing person in general. Do you know him? I guess this is his girlfriend, his boyfriend, his kid. Amazing. I love this. This is just how you know people are under psychosis. How do you know he's an amazing person? Because he swings a wooden bat and hits a ball 300 feet. Yeah, amazing. He's amazing. I'm not idol worshiping and drooling. What do you know? You know what he's doing behind closed doors? You know what he's doing at night when you're asleep? No, you don't. Not saying he's doing one thing or the other, but really, let's relax, pal. I mean, these people are they need help. Mama Marte would be so proud of not only the player he's developed into, but the man he's become. Arizona stands with Cattell. I mean, these people they really need to be committed. This is the psychosis we're living in. Doesn't these people talk like they know the person and then speak on behalf of the mother and then speak for the state of Arizona because that's the way the baseball player plays? It's unbelievable. Here goes. I hope that heckler learned a lesson on kindness and compassion. I, as a White Sox fan, here's somebody else, will say that was very low what this heckler did. Well, thanks for chiming in. And they said, name the disrespectful fan. He deserves to have people know who he is. We'll see how bold and brave he is then. Well, he said it out in public. So it doesn't mean you can dox him and show up at his home. But this shows you, right? Look how psychotic these people are. The guy yelled something because he's cheering for one team. He's probably had a couple beers. And he goes, your mama, I texted her last night. Woo! The baseball player cries like a baby. You're not telling me that this isn't a manufactured story? Yeah? You think he really cried like a baby over this? And if he did, then he should be committed. And look at this guy. That's disrespectful. Give us his name. We want his name. We want his address. We want to plaster over the media. So what? What would that do to solve the problem? So people could go to his home and light it on fire because he called somebody and said something about the guy's mom? I mean, is anybody out there on the same page? I mean, I know you guys are. I mean, this is unbelievable. This is what they've done. And this all goes back to the controllers, right? This goes back to BlackRock, right? BlackRock, who controls everything. Larry Fink controls all the media, right? His company, BlackRock. They own your credit cards, Visa, PayPal, Walmart, Microsoft, Amazon. Hand is in everything. Mainly, the most important to know about is obviously the media. That's how these stories get promoted and pushed, right? And then you got Palantir, right? Who is working hand in hand with Trump on surveillance, on monitoring people's behavior, deciding who's a good person and who's a bad person. I heard these people talk. This is what the people behind the curtain are talking about. And when they talk about behaviors, this goes in one ear out the other. It's people who are like, oh yeah, they're talking about these meetings about controlling people's behavior. They're talking about your behavior. You, whether you're gay or straight or black or white, do you want these people telling you how you should behave? Now, it's one thing to say somebody shouldn't be a criminal. Somebody shouldn't be robbing a bank. Somebody shouldn't be murdering. Okay, that's fine. Having your own individual opinion is what they're talking about. Behavioral control. They don't want you to yell if you don't like something. They don't want you to cheer if you do like something because somebody's feelings might get hurt. And that's how you obviously end up in a technocratic, communist, tyrannical, insane society. Listen to these psychopaths.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women. We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year, and what we're doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted. Okay,
we're doing the same thing.
And so it's just you have to force behaviors, and if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted, and that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said. And ultimately, it's still going to take time, but I am just as much shocked as Ken is that we have not seen more opportunities, and we're going to have to force change.
We do is we use what legal scholars call predicate-based research. So we would look at you, and then we would go out and say, oh, there's lots of different things in your life that may be indicative of someone involved in bad behavior.
Then we were asked if we were willing to supply our product philanthropically, basically for free. And I was very in favor of this because our primary mission is, in fact, to set a global standard for the world for behavior.
And that's what it's all about. This is what we've gotten to in this world, that we're reading the comment section because that's where you study the mind. This is what the government does, what I'm showing you right here. They just do it through algorithms. They watch and monitor how you react and behave to the stories that they put out there. They manufacture the news, and the objective is to manipulate you and your behavior, to make you all say and think, everybody like lined up like a sheeple, saying what? Saying that guy needs to be punished. Not one person saying, hey, I don't agree with the guy yelling, but back in the day, if somebody yelled something at you, well, you handle your own business. You could yell something back. Maybe you could handle it in the parking lot. In today's world, breathing on someone's assault. So obviously, they never want you to think like that. Most of these people are like, oh my gosh, they're thinking about a fight, like a schoolyard fight. Well, that's how a lot of problems used to be resolved. Didn't have to end in some homicide or something like that. But of course, you can't think about that. You can't think about defending yourself with words because then you'd be sticking up for yourself. And then how could Palantir or how could BlackRock be Big Brother? You see, that's what Big Brother means. They want you to turn to them so that they could come in and discipline people who have bad behavior. But it's not about protecting you from getting your feelings hurt. It's ultimately about censoring all speech so that everything is considered hate speech. There's no fine line anymore. It started off with LGBT and it's moved all the way down to someone cracking a your mama joke at a baseball game. And we're all just agreeing. Everyone's lining up going, I agree. Guys should be suspended. Should never be allowed in a baseball park again. This isn't like a 5-game ban. This isn't like the rest of the season, which was all of that's insane anyway. This isn't like, hey, we're throwing you out for the rest of the game. Even that's ridiculous, right? It's one thing to throw something on the field. It's another thing to yell. This is freedom of expression. They want to control your opinion. They want to control your behavior. These are the people in power behind the curtain, the people that don't get discussed, who have pulled and continue to pull the puppet strings of all the politicians, including Donald Trump. Palantir's working hand in hand with Donald Trump. Larry Fink is a close personal friend of Donald Trump. Where are the people coming out and saying this is embarrassing, that the guy's crying? Should he have some type of mental health evaluation because he's crying in the middle of a baseball game when he's getting paid millions of dollars because someone said something about his mom who died 10 years ago? 10 years ago. Was it the anniversary of even that is pathetic. Even if like your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, when you get in a fight with somebody that you're close to and they want to get you, everybody is close to somebody, some way to cross a line to get under someone's skin, right? Even then the person will be like, well, that's low. Would they break down and cry? Would you break down and cry if your girlfriend or your boyfriend cracked a joke about your deceased mom or dad? Or would you be like, F you, or whatever you would say, screw you? No, you break down and cry, get down on the knees if you got shot or you got your leg amputated. And then all the people, I can't believe that he's crying during a game. They can't be manufacturing a story like this so that I yell and scream and want the guy to be banned from the stands. And then what's next, right? What's next? People like us yell and scream and protest and demand something changed, want something to be done. Oh, let's get them in jail, right? This is what's bringing in full-on censorship of speech. But most importantly, because free speech, the phrase gets thrown around so much, pay attention to the phrase behavioral control, because they are trying to form our opinions. They are trying to do it for us. They're trying to mold us. And when you look at the comment section, that's exactly what's working right now. By plastering this story everywhere. All these people, naturally, they're nice people, I'm sure. I'm not saying that the people who are saying, oh, that's mean, aren't nice, great people. But they're clueless people because they believe all this stuff. And they don't realize that they're the ones being manufactured, right? The product being manufactured is you.
Your living room is the factory. The product being manufactured is you.
Your home is a laboratory, right? The TV, the news. All of this stuff is being put in our faces so that we change how we behave. Perfect example right there. That's why I wanted to cover it. I saw it. I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, I don't even know if the people listening to my channel even want to hear it. And I'm like, what? I need to rant about it because it's pathetic. It's pathetic. And watching how people respond, instead of just everybody going, hey, what happened to Sticks and Stones? How about Marte after the game and the post game? Why doesn't he get right on the camera and say something back to the guy? And say, you know what? I heard what you said. It's pretty low, man, but hey, I'll be the bigger man. I'll turn the other cheek. Maybe I'll buy you something. I'll give you a free. No, he cries. We've never seen behavior like this before. Just imagine you've seen Mike Tyson boxing and somebody in the front row yell something. Mike Tyson, you smell. And Mike Tyson in the middle of the fight just got down on a knee and started crying. And everyone's like, Mike Tyson's crying. What do you yell? You smell. People would just, if you told them that in the 1980s, they would explode. Their heads they wouldn't even know how to fathom what was going on. They'd be like, is Mike Tyson on drugs? That's what they'd say. But Mike Tyson's on a knee crying. They'd be like, oh my gosh, did he punch him in the balls or something? No, the guy yelled that he smells. And he said, your mama's so fat. And they'd be like, Mike Tyson must have done drugs before the fight, right? Something's wrong with him. Right? Today, in 2025, oh, we need to do something about him. We don't know that we're being manufactured to end all free speech and, of course, to end all free opinions. Just remember, what they're really molding here is just what Elon Musk always talks about. Collective consciousness, where you all think alike, you all act alike, you all look alike. And they're the ones who are going to formulate all the opinions, the way we all dress, how we all act, because they tell you right to your face, it's about behavioral control. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.